Have you ever wondered how a man, perceived as a mad emperor, rose to the helm of one of the greatest empires in history? Let's delve into the story of Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, better known as Caligula, and his ascent to power. Born into the heart of Roman political life, Caligula was the third son of the beloved military hero Germanicus and his wife Agrippina the Elder. From a young age, Caligula was thrust into the public eye, his life taking an unexpected turn after the death of his father. His great-uncle Tiberius, the then reigning emperor, took him and his three siblings under his wing. This move was interpreted as an attempt to secure his line of succession. Tiberius, however, was not known for his warmth or kindness. His rule was marked by paranoia and cruelty, and his relationship with Caligula was complicated and fraught with tension. Despite this, Caligula managed to survive the treacherous environment, learning the intricacies of power and manipulation from Tiberius himself. Then came the year 37 CE, a turning point in Roman history. Tiberius, the aging emperor, met an untimely death. Some believe Caligula played a hand in his demise, but history remains silent on this matter. What is known, however, is that Tiberius's death paved the way for Caligula's ascension to the throne. The Romans, weary of Tiberius's harsh rule, welcomed Caligula with open arms. They saw in him the spirit of his father, Germanicus, and hoped for a reign marked by fairness and prosperity. The handsome and charismatic Caligula, with his promises of change, was a beacon of hope for the people. Little did they know their jubilation was premature, and the hope they had placed in their new emperor was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Unbeknownst to the Romans, the hope they held for their new emperor was about to be shattered. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the reign and downfall of an emperor whose madness would mark the pages of history. Caligula's reign, once filled with promise, quickly descended into a reign of terror and madness. This isn't just a bold claim, but a chilling truth. His rule, which began in the year 37 of the Common Era, started to show signs of irrationality and paranoia that would come to define his 4-year reign. Caligula's power seemed to know no bounds, and he wielded it with a terrifying unpredictability. One of his most notorious actions was declaring himself a god. Yes, you heard it right. He claimed divine status, demanding that statues of himself be erected in temples throughout Rome. This wasn't just a power trip, but a clear sign of his deteriorating mental state. And then there was his infamous spending. Caligula's extravagance knew no limits. He squandered the Roman treasury on lavish parties, grandiose construction projects, and even a floating bridge across the Bay of Baiae. He was a man who believed in living large, even if it meant plunging his empire into financial ruin. His reign was not just characterized by eccentricity, but also by cruelty. He was known for his brutal punishments, often taking pleasure in the suffering of others. There are accounts of him ordering executions at his whim, turning the once vibrant city of Rome into a place of fear and dread. It's no wonder, then, that he was loathed by his subjects. But perhaps the most bizarre action of Caligula's reign was his attempt to make his horse, Incitatus, a consul. Yes, you didn't mishear. He wanted to grant his horse political office. This wasn't just a joke or a whim, but a calculated move to humiliate the Roman Senate, a clear indication of his disdain for the ruling class. It's not hard to see why Caligula instilled terror in the Roman people. His actions were not just eccentric, but downright terrifying. He was feared, loathed, and seen as a madman, ruling with an iron fist and a sense of cruelty that was unprecedented. Yet, despite his madness, Caligula was no fool. He understood the power of fear and used it to his advantage. By keeping the people afraid, he kept them under his control. He was a master manipulator, using his power to keep the masses in check. The reign of Caligula was a reign of madness indeed. It was a time of terror, of fear, and of absolute power. It was a time when Rome was ruled not by a man but by a madman who believed himself to be a god, who lived in opulence while his people suffered, and who ruled with a cruelty that was unmatched. But as history has shown us, even the most powerful of tyrants will eventually fall. Even Caligula, with all his power and madness, was not immune to this universal truth. His reign may have been filled with terror and madness, but it was also a stark reminder of the dangers of absolute power. As the saying goes, pride comes before a fall, and for Caligula, his downfall was imminent. Indulgence in his own grandeur ultimately led to a series of conspiracies against him. The seeds of rebellion were sown mainly among the ranks of the Praetorian Guard, the very people who were meant to protect him. Having grown tired of his unpredictable and tyrannical rule, they began to plot the unthinkable, the assassination of an emperor. The first plot involved a senator, but the conspiracy was discovered and quelled. However, this failed attempt didn't deter others. A second plot, this time involving the Praetorian Guard, was set into motion. Unlike the first, this plot would not fail. One cold January day in 41 CE, the guardsmen struck. Caligula, the man who was once the most powerful in Rome, was assassinated in a brutal and bloody coup. The news of his death spread like wildfire, bringing a mix of relief and uncertainty to the Roman people. The tyrant was dead, but who would take the helm? The empire was leaderless, and the scramble for power ensued. Caligula's uncle Claudius, who had been hiding during the coup, was found by a Praetorian guardsman. The guardsman, rather than killing Claudius, proclaimed him emperor. This was a twist no one expected. Claudius, considered a fool by many, was now the ruler of the mighty Roman Empire. As for Caligula, his body was quickly cremated, and his ashes were interred in the mausoleum of Augustus. His statues were torn down, his coins melted, and his name was condemned to infamy. The Senate even attempted to abolish his memory, a practice known as damnatio memoriae. In the end, Caligula's reign was marked by madness and terror, ending in a bloody coup that marked the end of his 4-year reign. The Roman Empire had weathered the storm of Caligula's rule and would continue to endure, but the memory of his reign served as a chilling reminder of the potential pitfalls of absolute power. Caligula's reign was short-lived, but his legacy is one that has endured throughout history. So you might wonder, how does the world remember a ruler like Caligula, who was notorious for his erratic and often tyrannical rule? Caligula's reign is often used as a cautionary tale about the dangers of absolute power. Despite his initial popularity when he took the throne, his subsequent action, the lavish spending, the disregard for the Senate, and his increasingly erratic behavior, all serve as a stark warning of the potential pitfalls of unchecked authority. His life story echoes the timeless adage, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. In addition to his role as a historical cautionary tale, Caligula has also found a place in popular culture. From literature to film, his life and rule have been the subject of countless interpretations. His name has become synonymous with madness and tyranny, and his story continues to captivate audiences worldwide. His reign, though relatively brief, was filled with actions and decisions that have made him one of the most infamous emperors in Roman history. Whether it's his reported declaration of war on the sea god Neptune or his alleged appointment of his horse Incitatus as a consul, these stories, whether fact or fiction, have cemented Caligula's place in history as a ruler whose actions were as unpredictable as they were unprecedented. But perhaps the most significant legacy of Caligula's reign is the lessons it provides. His rule serves as a mirror, reflecting the potential dangers of unchecked power, the thin line between genius and madness, and the ultimate consequences of a leader who places personal desires above the welfare of their people. So as we look back on the life of Caligula, we are reminded not only of the man he was, but also of the lessons his life imparts. His legacy is a complex tapestry woven with threads of power, madness, and cautionary tales that continue to resonate in our world today. Today, Caligula serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of unchecked power and the thin line between genius and madness. In the grand scheme of history, Caligula's reign was but a blip. Yet his impact has echoed through the ages. Born Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, he ascended to power in the year 37 and ruled until 41 CE, a reign marked by madness and flamboyance. His rise was swift, his rule absolute, and his downfall inevitable. Caligula's reign, though short, was a time of great upheaval. His erratic behavior and extravagant lifestyle led to social unrest and ultimately his assassination. Yet, despite the chaos, his reign left an indelible mark on Roman history. His actions, as horrific as they were, served as a stark reminder of the dangers of absolute power, unchecked by any form of accountability. So the next time you consider the phrase "absolute power corrupts absolutely," remember the story of Caligula, a ruler whose reign was as remarkable as it was horrifying.